All right. So this was a request by Terry called a meat whistle. And yeah, it made me giggle too. And then I kind of, ran to Tom Hargrove and told him, he goes, I know what that is. And he ran and got me one. And this is one of those. Let me change my video over. There we go. That's one that I tied. This is basically one I bought from Tom. And if you got the materials, I think I spent $25 worth of materials to get everything I needed. But the one I bought from Tom to kind of double check was $5. So these aren't cheap, but if you buy $25 worth of materials, I actually kind of like mine a little bit better than that one, but you could make a bunch of them. So this is the one that I tied. If you have all your tie materials for doing a slump buster, man, it's just about doing the same thing except for the hook. Here, I would kind of take this one off real quick. The hook we use for this one has this 90-degree bend on it. That's the only difference that I could see from a slump buster. Still use a cone, but this is more jig-like. So when you do fish it, it will sit more like that. So if you're trying to get towards the bottom and skip it off the bottom, this will probably help you not hook up so much on the ground. So that hook is a specialty here. I'll read it real quick. The 4660, it's a size 2, and it just says a specialty hook. So all the material I got was from Hargroves. So Tom helped me get everything we needed. So start off with that. And then the cone heads that I got, large size colored gold, size large. Again, all came from Tom. So I will start with this. Make sure I get the cone on. Okay, so it's sitting right in that. I will be just using my UTC white on this, the 140 that was working just fine. When you start this, as you can see, you actually have some, I made this one a little bit too much. You can see where you put the bead head back or the cone back a little bit. I think I did a little bit too much on this, but it still looks nice. So when you're tying, you definitely, I had problems with this, and I'll make sure I help you is kind of figure out where you want to have that cone and just kind of get it in your head where you want to start tying stuff off, especially with the white strips or rabbit strips. You get too close and you try to then move this cone over, that rabbit strip could actually hold it in place, and I had to kind of do a little dissection on my first one back. So just be careful on where you start on that. So I will put white thread base down. And I will just continue that back. While I'm doing this, for those who couldn't make it up to Merrimack, we had a beautiful day. It was in the 70s. Couldn't have asked for a better day. It was just no rain, just nice little breeze. Didn't feel hot or anything. So again, I'm just kind of measuring where I want to do this and kind of just watching it. So the first thing that I'm going to add now is copper wire small. Still have to make a couple of these with the neoprene. And basically this copper wire is going to help lock in that rabbit strips. If you wanted, you could probably use some super glue if you wanted to wrap that in, you can. Because the first time I was trying to tie this with trying to make it look real nice, not grabbing so much fur, and took me a while, but then once you put the marabou on, you really don't see the body too much. So again, I have the copper wire in, and now I'm gonna make the body. And I use this sparkle silver braid again from there's Tom Hargrove there. It just comes on a spool like this. Kind of just left it on a spool when you did this, so I haven't wasted any. But so you see, I'm not going way towards the front. I'm going to keep it back. I don't want to bolt this up again because then it's hard to rotate that cone head over. So I'm just going to kind of get this in, bring it to the back. Any questions so far?
Doing good.
Looking good, cool. So now I'm just going to use my rotary device and just do touching wraps on this. It looks nice, but I'll tell you one thing is once you have this all together, you really don't see the body. So if you just wanted to keep just thread wraps, you could probably get away with that. I'm just going to lock this in.
Now you could tie that with dumbbell eyes too.
Yes, you can. You could do dumbbell eyes. I think you could just do a regular bead, cone. I think anything will work. I mean, this is probably like the fun thing about tying flies is it's your choice. It's, you know, how you want to do it. So bring that down so that it's grazing my shoulder a little bit. You can see a little bit better. Yeah, it's your choice. It's how you want to do it. I bet your dumbbell eyes would look really nice, especially if you put them on the bottom and then with the 90-degree hook, it's only going to ride one way then. So it'd be neat. I might try that on the next one I do. So rabbit strips. So rabbit strips white hairline again from Hargroves. Sounds like I'm getting a visitor real quick. We'll see. She brought dinner, but that's going to have to wait. So here's a rabbit strip, and now I'm going to try to measure this out. And like I said, you don't want to go so far forward because then it will actually, while you're trying to, if you put it in, it's going to be hard to move that cone. So about where I have the thread there is where you want to kind of look where you want it, and then how far you want of a tail. About where I have my thumb, I just want to move the hair back. Make that cut there. All right, so I'm looking right now and trying to see where the bend of the hook point goes, and that's where I'm going to want to put it through the point. Make sure you're careful with this so you don't get your finger. Now I'll reinsert it in there into the vise, and we're good. Kind of help me keep this somewhat in place. I noticed that I could put a couple wraps right on at front. That kind of good there. And now I'm gonna take, try to find a nice section, and now I'm gonna wrap the wire through, and this is what's gonna help hold your rabbit strip in. I kind of pull straight down on it. Doing tight wraps. Kind of staggering it in.
Is Margie changing the tires in the background?
I don't know who's doing that. I know Margie was here for a second and she was like, let me smell dinner. And I was like, oh, how do you do that to me?
Mhm.
So now I'm gonna clip that wire, making all that racket. Let's see if John, that's what it was. Okay. We quieted him down. Okay, so this is probably, that was the toughest part right there. And now we get to put some silly legs in. Oops, sorry. Archie brought me water, but put it right there. So for the legs, I got hairline, medium, round, rubber legs. I had one stripped out already, but I don't know where it went. This is a very long strip, so you get a lot with this. So with the long strips, I ended up cutting it in half and then using one half. The way I do it is I just take a half, fold it in half, and then what I'm going to do, bring that down there. I'm going to tie in what will eventually be 4 legs. Lost it. Let's try that again. Make them kind of go back. I just fold them in the direction I want them to go and then lock them in a second time. So there's the legs. Next thing I'm going to do is put some flash in it. This Crystal Flash Pearl, this is my favorite. I just like the looks of it. I wish, you know, the camera would do it some justice, but it's got some really neat colors and there's times where it looks like red and green. It's pretty sharp. I just take one strand out of that. And I fold it twice, and I'm going to do the same thing with the legs where I'm going to lock it in. So it wants to play nice. Hold it in place. Okay. I'm just going to trim that a little bit just to make it a little bit easier on me. Okay, the next part is now the marabou. Again, I just got the standard Select Marabou Premium White, again from Hargroves. They showed two different ways you could put this in. I'll show you start the way they showed me how to do it, but I did not care for that way where they took the whole marabou, just kind of fanned it out, and then you tied in the tip like that, and then you started wrapping. I had a hard time getting this to wrap well, but that was how I saw it on YouTube. It didn't look right the first time I did it, so I went back to how I did it with my John Deere. That's the way I'm going to do it on this, where I'm just going to actually take these and pull out clumps. And then get just a nice little bunch sitting there. And I'm going to just kind of see where I want to place it. Now I'm going to lock that in. A couple loose wraps at first and then cinch it in. By doing it this way, it seemed a little bit easier for me to do, and I actually like the way it looked when it was done. So I did it there. That's actually on the bottom half that I have on top now. I'm gonna spin it over. Make sure my legs are on the right way, so when I start wrapping, I don't lose them. So again, I'll take the other side of the marabou and start plucking some sides out of those. A little bit more. So again, I have a nice little clump. Just got to measure it out. See, that looks pretty good. A couple loose wraps. And I will cinch it in. Okay. So far, so good. I'll cut off the excess. Preen it all back. Actually get a really good tie in here. Really secure this. We'll even whip finish this a couple times to make sure it's secured. What I warned you about might have happened. Nope, got it. Cool. I will now get rid of the thread there. And my Sally Hansen's. What I want to do is, up there it is, the better stuff. I'm going to lock all this in with some Sally Hansen's just to make sure it locks in all that material together. I'm going to push that cone a little bit forward there. And I'm going to start my final wrap at the front of the cone. And this tab that you have, normally you cut that off. I would use that and you kind of pull against it to hold that cone back right where you want it. Now I'm just kind of whipping the thread around, kind of, as you could see, it's past the cone, so it's just building up right at the eye of the cone. Once it looks pretty good there, you could get rid of that tag end. You could build it up and just kind of make the front almost kind of look like the nose of a Clouser minnow. I think it kind of looks, if you make a kind of a neat little taper, that looks good. So now I'm going to do whip finish this all off. Go. And then again, I'll come back with the Sally Hansen's. Just lock that thread up. There it is. Just let it dry a little bit and it's ready to fish. Any questions on that?
Looks great. That's the one that my nephew said was slaying him at Montauk.
So that's kind of neat to hear, because it's, for me, looking at this right now, this looks like a huge fly. You know, and I'm looking right now, if you want to trim up some of the legs, this is where you can kind of preen it a little bit. This seems like a huge fly for a trout stream, but you know, maybe that's why I wasn't catching any fish in Montauk. I need to use something like this. But I could see this good for, you know, maybe, you know, like they say, meat whistle. Some of the Browns love their bigger flies. This might work for that. Anytime I see anyone catching some of the bigger fish, it's always with bigger marabou jigs. So this might be able to be a good fix for that. So
Crappie in the spring, black and olive in for bass. That thing will go work on just about everything, I would think.
yeah, I think
Yeah, black would be good for browns too.
yeah, you know, when I first tied this, I was absolutely thinking bass, and I did it, but I'm sure this could be used on a lot. But it's a neat looking fly. It's kind of like, as I said, the slump buster with this jig head. So it's going to ride only one way, and that's with the point hook up. So if you're trying to skip it along the bottom, I think this would be a good fly pattern for that.
Nice job, Nick.
Yep. So hopefully they could see that. It's a neat looking fly. It really is. And I kind of like the fur strips. They have them in squirrel too that are a little bit thinner. So if you wanted to make them a little bit thinner and try to go for a smaller fly, you could do that as well. Any questions on that?
Looks like it could be good gifts for earrings, or if you do it in different colors for Christmas tree ornaments. you
Yep.
know?
They look good. So I just get down. So is that good? There it is.
There it is.
So any other
Great.
questions? Okay, so that's about the only one I have. If you want, I could try to tie one more thing if I got it. And again, this was yesterday. This will just be bonus. It's kind of hard to see it, but I know Scott got to see it. Basically, it's a zebra midge. Let me see if I could pull it in a little bit closer. But all that white and silver you see there is actually wire. And so I saw it one time on a copper john, and I thought, I wonder if I could do that with a midge. And we'll try to do one real quick and show you what I did with that. These were actually the kits that I created for the Mayfly project when we were out at Bennett. And these were the kits that I ran out of time and couldn't do it with them. Oops. Just trying to get all my wire out, and I need some hooks.
It almost looks like a quill body.
Yeah, I started it with the green because somebody was saying it's like a caddis nymph. It's see what I have for B.
Yeah, it does. It looks a little like a case caddis.
Yep. We'll try. I don't know where all my beads went to. So I'm gonna try some black with a black bead. We'll see that. That might look kind of neat because I think some of the caddis I saw had green body, darker head. So, but yeah, this worked really well. And then with it being metal, you know, it's the copper wire and then thread, and I just put a coat of Sally Hansen's hardener over it. This thing will last forever until you snag it somewhere and lose it. So it's pretty indestructible. So the hook, again, I like these model 28 from Wholesale Fly Company, size 12. Again, I got 100 of these for $7. And then the bead head I'm using came from them as well. Neat little company. I've had pretty good luck with it. So let's set up in the vise real quick. And again, I'm using the UTC Ultra Thread Black 140. Basically with this, all I'm trying to do is build up the body with this thread. So, ooh, let me tighten that up a little bit. So right now I'm just trying to build up the body with it. I know Roger and I were talking over the weekend, white thread jigs. Those still are one of my favorite and probably the easiest to tie. Scott, once you start tying, if you want, we'll teach you how to do a thread jig, which is just doing what I'm doing right now, but with white thread, and all you're doing is going to build up a body.
Not unlike a Sakasa Kabari.
Yes, one of those. That's exactly what I was thinking. Not, I can't even say it.
Oh, that's that thing that you grill sushi on.
That's it. So now what I'm doing is I have the ultra wire. I have 2 strands of green and 1 silver. Now I'm going to add that to this. Oop, I lost the silver, but that's all right. I'm still in the beginning. No big deal. I'm just going to wrap that in. If you wanted, I didn't use it with what I was using on Saturday. If you wanted, you could put some turkey by it to make it look like a prince nymph for a tail. You could use some dubbing on it if you want. Again, that's still my favorite thing about fly tying is it's your fly, it's how you want to make it.
Mick, what kind of string thread are you using?
I am using UTC black. Let me see if I can get that so you can see it. UTC black 140. That's pretty much common in any of the shops, or if you, it's usually what I tie with. If I'm, this helps kind of build up the body. As I said, I do like the Semper Fly as well, but this stuff is so thin, you would be wrapping forever to get any kind of body on it.
Can I make a suggestion?
Absolutely.
I've been making those, the zebra midges are midges, and I use the GSP,
Yep.
and I basically just let it unwind, and it makes a flat thread that's fairly big that you can build up the body quicker.
Oh, I'm sure it can. I only put a little bit of a body on it. I used to make mine really thick, and I don't know if I have any of mine around. And then someone then suggested or made a cool little phrase that I remembered in it. I don't know if it's worked or not, but I don't see a difference where it's hurt me, but thin for the win. So I keep my bodies just a little bit thinner now. And I don't know if it's helped or not, but it seems to be still catching fish. So now what I'm doing is taking this is the hardest part of just trying to start this. But I'm putting a little tension on the wire, and I'm going to start making sure I keep tension on, just do touching wraps. With it being 2 green strands to 1 silver, you see more of the green, so it looks like you're using almost like shiny green thread, but with a silver wire for the ribbing. And it's just the more tension you put on it, keeps it from trying to spread out from each other, and it keeps it in pretty good. So there's the body right there. Now I'm going to lock this in. I got this material, the helicopter brake, pretty easy. I want to see if it'll do it for me again. There it is. Cool. Usually I always see people do it on YouTube and they helicopter and it comes off like that. When I usually try it, I'm sitting there for 15 minutes and it won't break. But when I need it to be strong, that's when I nick it or something and it breaks on me. So
Yeah, I'm sure you're the only one that ever has that problem, Nick.
yep, I think
I've never
there's
had that problem.
a bunch of videos of us all doing that.
Yeah,
So quick whip finish, locks it in. And then again, the Sally Hansen's, and it comes in different varieties. I don't know which one is best, but they all seem to do good.
that thing must sink like a rock, doesn't it, Nick?
It does. It's almost like a copper john. So if you're in some swift water and you're wanting nymph, this is the way to go. And since it's all copper wire, and now I'm putting a finish on it, it's pretty indestructible as well. So again, I want to try this. I will make sure I try this and report back, but I want to use this as my attractor fly, and then behind it I'm going to try a small gray scud behind it, and that's something I want to try when I go out to Bennett at the end of the month. I want to try 2 droppers off an indicator. Again, when I tried to back cast before and do that, that's where I'd get tangled up. I actually had a really good day on Saturday where I didn't even have a tangle up, but all I did was a roll cast, and that seemed to prevent all my bird's nests. So
How many flies can you use in Missouri?
I think 3
3?
single hooks. So
Yeah, I think Colorado's 2, and I think Nebraska's 2 as well.
so I'm just gonna put this in there.
I don't know if Jim is on from Colorado. I think Colorado is 3. But it just depends on what waters you're on too,
Yeah,
on the different, but single hook on those.
Yeah, I always check the regs first before I put more than one on.
Yep, so I don't know if I could get any closer, but there they are. I did one with a gold bead head and one with a dark, and January, it was everything about a Copper John. And I only caught 2 that day and was with Copper John until not Copper John, John Deere. And until I lost it, and that was my only 2 fish. I tied up a bunch for Bennett and Merrimack and had no luck with it on Saturday. Took me a while, but I had one of these, and basically we started sharing it between the 3 of us. So I know there's the movie out there, the sisterhood of the traveling pants. We had the brotherhood of the traveling nymph. So it worked out. So any questions on this one or the previous one? All right, so let me get off and you can see my. Trying to get my. There it is. Okay, I'm going to change my camera view. And I'm back. All right, cool. So 2 quick flies for us. What I'm thinking about is next weekend, some of us are tying at the kids event at Pierre Marquette. So in 2 weeks, Jim Saraceno isn't on, but he kept on talking about Bromsliak Lake. And I think that's either O'Fallon or St. Peter's. That will be where we're going to hit in 2 weeks. So I will get on CRM, put the invites out, and try to get a good, the invites will go out, but then I'll have an email. Roger, you were the one that said it's a little bit difficult to find. And so I'll make sure let me unmute you.
Rommel Seek is difficult. You need to have the where people
Coordinates.
turn off. We've got maps.
Okay, so I want to make sure I try to get good directions, get a top view, and get the coordinates as Sled Dog did for us. So if you have a GPS, you could plug it in that way. Because it's
Yeah, having been there once, like I said, the first sign you see, it's a smaller one. It mentions, the dog park and astronomical observation area.
Yep.
If you could take that road, it's only a couple turns to get there. If you go down to one of the main park entrances further down where they have a big monument that announces the park and stuff, it's a twisty, turny route to get back in there.
So that's what we'll do in 2 weeks. So
Yeah, there's a couple of lakes in there. So you got to figure out which one you're going to, and
yeah, that's what I'll get on like MapQuest tonight and get a good view of it and see which one we're going to go to and mark that one off so we know we're all going to the same one. This will be the first time I've gone there as well. So, but the report sounded like it was a good lake to fish. So that's what we'll do. If you can make it, great. If not, no worries. Again, I know if it's a long haul, gas is expensive. We'll catch you on the next outing. So that's about all I have. Merrimack went well. We had a good time. I think there was about 6 of us that showed up. Again, the weather was perfect. There was another veteran that I was talking to for a while, and then I decided to go clean my fish, and Roger and Scott got to see him hook into a almost 3.5 pound trout. So we were watching them. I think Roger, Scott, and I would see that fish swimming around. And I actually thought he was injured because there was a lot of red by his gill plate. So I actually thought he was injured. But then later on, we found out he was just in spawning colors or something. And that was just really bright gill plates. It was just beautiful looking fish. So we got to
netted
see
it for a guy, and it's like, it filled my net.
that. Yeah, it was a beautiful fish. So I missed it. I was stepped away for a bit and Scott and Roger told me you missed the action, but it was good. It was a fun day. We saw a lot of veterans out there. Roger helped a couple people with casting lessons and we had a good time. So
Daughters of the American Revolution
yes,
fed us.
yep, there it is.
It's really nice. Oh, there's the fish.
Yep,
Good.
yeah,
And
Caught-
Roger, huh?
yep. Caught it right between
Ah,
Roger
yeah.
and Scott.
Yeah, that's definitely spawning colors.
Yeah, it was a beautiful fish.
He was using dough bait though.
Yeah, he was a dough baiter. So
Yeah. The net he had wouldn't have worked.
yeah, you could see the little thing he had there. So
Listen to how we've turned Scott into a purist already. You gotta love that. He was using dough bait,
he
you
was a
know.
dough baiter.
So I love that. I love that, Scott. You're
Yep.
you're in.
You're in. You're one of us now.
Wait a minute now. Certain times you have to use other than flags.
I
You're
know
on the
what you
wrong
want to
call.
use.
You're on the wrong call, Walt.
You still got your, where is it, Walt? There it is. Dynamite. That's a good way to sight fish. That's the one I want. Lob it to
And
them.
the sight fishing's been good. I was tying pheasant legs out of the knot and crochet hook, and then I did a couple of yours. They don't look anything like yours, Mick. But just a couple different and crawdad patterns now. Smallmouth are hitting pretty well as everything's warming up. So good flies tonight. Thank you.
Yep.
Hey, if anybody wants to have a good laugh this week on our Thursday fly tying session, I'm going to have to move over to the dark side, and I'll be tying a carp carrot and a San Juan worm. So Mike Kelly's father passed away last week, so
Oh,
he's taking care of all of that this week. So I'm stepping in, and I'm going to have to go to the dark side and tie standard American flies, I guess. No Sakasa Kabaris this week.
Don't carp like those too. Come on, John.
Oh, yeah, but I'm the only one here in our group that uses Tenkara, so I can't just tie Tenkara flies. I got to tie the others too.
Imagine that.
Imagine that, yeah.
Well, good. What's a topic for next week,
yep.
Nick?
I'm trying to think. Anyone else have one? Trying to think. Because we're
I know
looking
what
at-
I'd like to suggest, but I don't think any of us know how to tie them.
What's that?
Married feather steelhead flies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eventually, I'm not sure when, but Austin, who is the other gentleman I was trying to think of who ties the steelhead flies, will be on our fly tying Thursday night sometime this fall. And that's what he's going to demonstrate is how to tie his married feather steelhead flies. So I'll let you know when that comes up.
Yeah. So I'm looking around and it's like I still have my fun with foam frogs and grasshoppers. I don't want to do foam again.
What about crawdads? Did we get into that yet?
I think we've done several of those.
Yeah, yeah.
Carl
You're
has,
on time, Walt. That's why you keep missing the crawdads.
Carl has a good crawdad.
Yeah, Carl has a great crawdad.
Yeah, he does.
If you beg him,
And
he
then-
might do it again.
So
Ooh.
here's what I got for you.
Let me
based
pin
off
that
of-
for you.
No,
All right.
you don't need to. You don't need to pin
Well, it
it.
looks good. It's
Um,
thin.
But I did this on the jig because I like this style. But I only did on the 45, so it's not on the 90 jig. But I was adding in because again, crawdad, so I added in the pheasant legs, and then I did that on the rabbit,
Cool.
heavier than anything. And then here's basically kind of same slump buster thing, but it has a little bit more on the squiggly legs, but same thing. So it'll ride hook point up.
Those look
So
nice.
it's, but in the crawdad color, which again, when you can do in rabbit or in the squirrel, huge difference as far as
Yeah.
size, what you're going for. Some are micro, so you can use them on smaller hooks. And then you get the big and uglies. But yeah, that's what, and then I was doing the pheasant, like the legs out of these.
Oh, those look pretty. Those are cool.
Well, and this is my jumbled mess, and it's not really a mess. None of these are tangled together, but how you take them and run them through a crochet hook, and these are your legs, then you can see that.
I'm not
So you
familiar with
knot
that.
'em.
Amy, what do you mean run them through a crochet hook?
So I'm gonna take off the little sections of this here, peel it back, and then your crochet hook. So what I do with is I'm gonna spin this over and make a loop.
Okay,
And however you want to hold it, but basically you're going to make a loop with that. You can twist them a little bit, doesn't matter at all. If it's easier to work with, twist them a little bit. I'm going to come through and I'm going to grab then that reverse,
uh-huh.
right? And I'm going to grab that and I'm going to pull it through. Do it really well there. It's easier actually on the quill side than these little thin ones, but you pull it through. So now it's knotted. Pull it tight and you can adjust your knot where you want it. And I want it to look buggy and leggy, right?
Yeah.
I don't care about the perfection of it, but here, because this is the quill side, so I can come in and I can kind of separate that a little bit. You tie it in like anything else. You can fluff these up, get them more like a spider.
Yeah, that's cool.
You can work that. And the other thing is like what Mick was talking about is you can dab this with a little bit of the Sally Hansen's. I use a quick dry
Uh-huh.
on this. So it's real quick, 3 seconds and it's done, but it'll give it that joint a little bit more durability.
Mhm.
But these are my frog legs. And again, it looks like a jumbled mess, but they're all actually separated. And so you can tie them on anything. And you can see, again, you can adjust them to how long you want, and you can use them on your dry flies or anything else. Easy. You just tie them in where you want them.
Cool.
And then these separate out, and their effect on the water is pretty cool. But that's what I was messing around with when Mick was doing his. I was like, ooh, let me see if I can add in some of these legs. So I did. So
And what,
I don't know.
what was your original feather?
Just that rabbit. That
No,
was the same
your
thing.
original feather that you made the legs out of.
The pheasant.
Did you use?
What kind of pheasant is that?
Yeah, that looks different. That's cool looking.
It's a great big one.
Mine don't look that pretty.
Mine don't look anything like that.
Yeah.
That must be a Chinese pheasant.
No, it's,
It's not ostrich, and it's not my dyed turkey. So it's pheasant.
that's Godzilla pheasant.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like it's the big pheasant ones.
I mean, you can use turkey feathers, right?
You can
Amy,
use any feathers.
That's pheasant. Oh, there's pheasant.
That's
Yeah,
what I'm saying.
right.
It is. But mine doesn't have, see up at the top, John, you'll see it. It is. It truly is.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see.
I'm just using, and I've stripped.
You're way
all
down at
this
the bottom.
away already.
You're
Yep,
way down
I'm
at the bottom. Okay,
Because those
Yeah.
those are the longer ones that are easy to
Yeah.
work with.
okay. Mine doesn't look like that on the bottom. See here? Oh, let's see. Let me get it out of the plastic bag.
Well, here, okay. So here, store bought, right? You're on the rag.
Yeah, yeah. See, it's got the barring on it. That's what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you, same thing, you just separate them apart and you grab like 4 or 5 of the fibers, make a loop in your fingers, like
Yeah.
you would your own knot, an improved clinch knot or something, loop in with a crochet, which I actually had to ask Roger. I'm like, Roger, will you ask your wife, what is this thing? And you're like, that's a crochet hook. So I'm like, I don't know, that DNA missed me. And then you just loop it through, but same, you can use any feather you want. And some will have more
Yeah,
more rigidity to them. You can use anything you want. They make great legs.
Yeah, they do.
But and they're fun to kind of add in to other stuff. And so yeah, these are going up in the pool upstairs. Because I have something in mind that I'm like, wonder if this looks so like the crawdad that we were just talking about. You can kind of imagine because it's gonna ride upside down. And if I come in and beat cut even on that rabbit, can I make craws out of it and make it look more like a crawdad? So I don't
Yeah.
know. It's a work in progress. Just some of the fun of my brain. I got all this stuff to pick from all night. So anyway, on that note, so Mick, did you pick? I was trying to stall for you.
I know,
Did
and
you
I
pick a
can't.
topic?
I
I
I'm sitting
was
here
trying to
like-
help you, man.
I know you did me a solid for sure. I just have to come up with something. Not sure, but thank you.
Flip a coin.
Wally wing sedge fly,
A Wally, what?
sedge fly.
Still
I
missing.
still
it.
miss that.
Wally, a Wally wing sedge fly.
Wally,
What's a sedge fly?
Sedge fly, like a caddis.
Oh, okay.
There, you guys can figure that one out. I'll be gone next week.
oh, okay.
Wow.
Hey, Amy,
Yes, sir.
when you were in Montana, what was the cost of the fishing license?
I buy mine for the year, so it's like 120 a year.
Okay.
If you get it for just a couple days, you're anywhere from, I don't know, pay the state. It depends on how much you're gonna be out there, but if you go to, you have to have a Montana registration number, which is a 4-digit number. Just go online, Walt, but you know, anything, Missouri is one of the higher ones I've seen. If you're out of state and you're just buying a temporary license, it's like $40. Out there, Montana's pretty general, $25. I don't know. I buy mine for the state. I'm back and forth. So,
Kenny House and myself and Don Ayers were talking about going up and fish on the Missouri, probably in August.
check your water levels before you book that.
I know, we know it. We got caught on it last year for a day where we had the hoot owl or.
Hoot owl. Yeah, you have to be off the water by noon. Good thing is they're at about 125% right now for the state, so they're in great shape. When I was out there, in case you guys didn't hear this before, so it was perfect for about 5 days that I was out there. And then it dropped in the temperatures. We had about 30-mile-an-hour sustained winds, up to 40, gusts of 50, and snow squalls
Oh, gee.
every 20 minutes for 2 days.
We're going
It
in
was
August, Amy. We're not going now.
You're at 6,000 feet.
You're gonna have.
You
it
might
every-
have snow. You could have snow. I'm just saying. But yeah, and all, it changes. It just changes a lot. But right now they're not as concerned as they were earlier back in March about the hoot owl. They got a lot of snow. Every mountain got snow when I was out there. Like
It's a good thing.
a ton, and it's great. And it's been a cold spring, so the runoff is very slow. None of the rivers, Gallatin was running high when I was out there, but nothing's seriously blown out right now, which is in great shape. They don't need it to rush through like what we get in Missouri.
They must have got 43.
What?
I don't know who that was.
I don't know
All
what.
right,
that was.
That was
Dinner
Carl.
time for me. So Mick, we'll see what your surprise Jack in the Box is for next
Yep.
week's.
For sure, I will come up with something, look for it, but soon look for the invite for Bromsliak. And before I'm gonna stop recording now.
Pick a page.